Family succession is a crucial issue for small businesses all over, but in the U.S. wine industry right now, there's an interesting transition taking place. I'm Jack Otter, editor of BARRON'S.com. I'm here with Jasmine Hirsch, who is Sales and Marketing Director for Hirsch Vineyards. So Jasmine, you, unlike, say, Bordeaux, where the 12th generations are running these chateaus, in Sonoma, as you are, Napa, some of that other country, U.S. vineyards are now passing from the founders, the entrepreneurs who started out there in the 70s, to the second generation. So as you sort of started to come to grips with the fact that you, instead of your father, would be running this business in the not too distant future, how did you have that conversation with your dad?
Well, it took a few years. I've been working for my father now for almost 6 years, and I think it took him feeling that I was truly committed to the business before he was even willing to start the conversation. But once I had worked for him for a few years and also realized myself that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, then we started to have the conversation. And it hasn't been easy. I think it's, there's a contradiction for entrepreneurs who have created everything. And my father hasn't worked for anyone since he dropped out of Columbia when he was 18. So I think he has some ambivalence about giving his business to anyone, and in his mind perhaps disadvantaging his children by giving us something and not making us doing it on our own. So it's taken a few years, but we've had many conversations now, and with other members of the family as well.
Any advice as to how to make those conversations go smoother? Did you make any mistakes that if you were giving instructions to a friend, you might say, do this differently than I did?
Well, I think that it's always important in any important discussion to think about it from the other person's position. And it wasn't until I really started to appreciate first what my father had accomplished by being a pioneer, the first person to plant vines in his region, you know, planting vines and farming with no recognition from the outside world, all on his own for about 15 years. You know, now he goes into a restaurant and you know, people are very excited to see him, and he's famous to a certain extent, but he did work on his own for so long without any care for what other people thought. And I think I had to come to really respect and appreciate that in order to realize how important the business is to him, and how much he cares about it. And once I understood that, I could appreciate his challenges around succession.
So in addition to your father, then you've also got siblings, so
yes.
That's another dynamic.
Yeah.
So how does that work, and what have the conversations been like with them? Are they joining you?
Well, my younger brother just graduated from college a year ago, and he has been working at the winery for about a year now, and he's going to quit because he wants to move to New York and do the New York life, and which I absolutely encourage, but there's a place for any of the children if they want to come and work at the winery. My sister actually lives here in New York as well, and she doesn't work in the family business, but she has 2 small children, so I suppose that's the most significant contribution one can make to a family business is grandkids.
That is true.
Yeah.
So it's not just family dynamics, but of course there are all sorts of financial issues in passing one business to the next generation, starting with taxes. How do you handle that?
Well, we've been talking about that for over 2 years now, and it's so complex. Even for a small business like ours, how to manage estate planning around taxation is hugely complicated. It helps a bit that we are also engaged in agriculture, and there are some special tax laws for family farms that we plan to take advantage of.
So they don't get hit with the estate tax in quite the lump sum that some others might.
There is some ability of family farms to delay the payment of estate taxes over a period of time, yes.
And you have a little bit of experience in this realm that not everyone in your business does, because in a previous life you were a private banker at JP Morgan?
Well, I worked for a private banker. I was on a private banking team, but yes, I got to have a little bit of experience in the wealth management area.
That's a nice combo.
Yeah.
So do you want to pour some more?
Yes, my pleasure. Yeah. So this is our 2011 San Andreas Pinot Noir. This is a wine that is, for my father, the most important wine we make. It's named after the San Andreas Fault, which is half a mile from our vineyard. So.
That's a whole new element into your financial future.
Yes.
I guess a lot of insurance
Earthquake
is necessary.
insurance,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
indeed. Cheers.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So how would you describe this wine?
Bright, fresh, high acid, classically a Pinot Noir. I mean, it's very much a sort of old world style. It's not the bombastic, fruity, new world style. My father, for him, the most important thing is that we make wines that express the place. So we try to pick a little bit earlier so that you get a sense of terroir in the wines, exactly, and not overwhelm the wines with fruit, although it still has lovely fruit.
To Burgundy phobes, I will point out there's no moldy socks going on here.
No, there's not.
It's just pure Burgundy, so it's
yes,
lovely
yes.
New World wine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks. My pleasure, Jack.